Hello, and thanks for tuning in. As always, this is Reverend JR, and today I thought I'd respond to this video I saw from Nightmare Fuel. Again, I apologize for not getting out more regular content in the next few weeks, but I just kinda need to take a break from YouTube as I'm transitioning to this new job. Thank you all for your support, and now let's respond to this video.
So I made a recent response video to Peachy Fiend, infamous in the atheist community.
I wouldn't say atheism is a community. I mean, we are people who identify as atheists, but that's kind of where the line ends. It's not a political party. It's not like being vegan where you make an active choice to do something. It's not like being part of a fitness club. It just means you don't believe in God. Like, the Catholics are a community, or the Amish, because they've actually decided to live together, act together, engage or disengage from certain activities because of their beliefs, live in a certain way, dress in a certain way, act with a communal code of conduct. They, the Amish, are a community. You and I and Peachy and a great many other skeptics are all atheists, though. You see, we're not really a community just because we all happen to interact. I mean, I interact with the Amish community when I go eat at Amish restaurants and when I buy Amish goods, but I'm not Amish, because I'm not part of their community, even though I interface with them. This is a bit of a drawn-out way of saying it, but it drives the point home for the rest of the video. You'll see.
Peachy is asexual, and of course that came up, and I had some comments towards what she had to say, and apparently not everyone was on board.
Yeah, you and I say things online that people disagree with. Doesn't really mean anything here. I don't care who said it. Please stick to the argument. I know you're not the greatest at this, but let's try.
With my commentary toward Peachy Fiend. What I'm going to be responding to today are anonymous questions posed to the YouTuber Maria the Witch. I don't want you to believe that Maria is the one who's having these thoughts. She laid out how she felt on Twitter and we had a little back and forth. We actually plan on having a live stream sooner than later to hash out our differences.
Here's the thing though, with opinions, you're allowed to disagree with people. Like, you don't have to hash it out. You can say, this is my opinion, that's yours, and that's where it ends. Kinda like what I'm doing with this video. I'm making it and that's all the further I need to go. You and I don't need a live stream to talk about why you think I'm wrong, and why we should hash it out so I agree with you more.
So this isn't Maria, this is just an anonymous person. He did a response to Peachy Fiend, and was saying things like, if you want to be asexual, implying you choose to be asexual. I don't think people's sexual preferences is a choice. I believe in that instance I was talking about the lifestyle that goes along with being asexual.
You see, here's the thing though, you did say what you said. You didn't actually deny that. I don't really care about that point, because you just confirmed it in a different way. There's no particular asexual lifestyle, in the same way there's no singular sexual lifestyle. You are presumably a straight man, for my example. So should I presume that you are having sex with every woman you come across because you're attracted to all of them, because that's what some sexual guys do? That would be ridiculous because there isn't one sexual lifestyle. There are plenty of asexual people who want to have children, for example, and so they will have sex for that purpose sometimes. And there are many sexual people who abstain. Like, it's no more a lifestyle to be sexual or asexual than it is to be black or white or tall or short or red-haired or black-haired or brown-haired. They're just things that you are.
In that part of the video, I am being accepting towards people who have an asexual lifestyle.
But that's not how lifestyles work. You wouldn't go around saying, I'm accepting of the black lifestyle, because that sounds really condescending, even if you're supporting whatever you think it is. Again, I don't think you're ace-phobic. I just think you haven't thought about this. And in all honesty, most people don't generally need to, because there's generally no talking points in the atheist community about who you want or do not want to stick your penis in. Well, I mean, unless you're TJ Kirk and you have some bananas, I guess. But that's neither here nor there. I'm very accepting of the banana lifestyle. I mean, I don't engage in it, but I have no problem with people who choose to do things with bananas.
And preference. I'm saying that they should be able to pursue that lifestyle without feeling pressured into having sex or having a sex life.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. I guess I should take time out of my day to say that I am accepting of straight people, of straight men, who don't want penises in their anuses. They shouldn't feel pressured to do that at all. Again, do you understand why that sounds really condescending? I mean, you guys are sexual, you should enjoy that sort of thing, right? But if you don't want to do it, no problem, you shouldn't be pressured into it. I support you. Again, do you see how that sounds just the tiniest bit condescending?
But sometimes it's like, why do I even bother when my words are just going to be twisted anyway?
I, for one, am not twisting your words. I'm just trying to explain to you how it sounds to other people. It's not my fault when you hear your words played back to you that you think you said something else and someone messed with them, or took them out of context. I'm leaving the entire context here for that specific purpose. You are the one who keeps coming back and saying it's a lifestyle, and you should be that way if you want. Yeah, black skin color is a lifestyle, and it's okay to be that way, if you want. Again, we're trying to tell you that sounds really horrible, and you're trying to tell us, no, but I support you. And again, it just doesn't sound that good to us. And you're the one saying we're twisting your words, which means it also doesn't sound that good to you.
Also saying asexuals aren't fundamentally capable of understanding sexuality when there are asexuals who have had sex, and I think we understand even more so because how much society puts an emphasis on sexuality, sex, and that you can't have a relationship without it. There is nothing wrong with what I said, and I am sorry if this offends people. I really am.
So here's the thing. Basically what you're saying is, if I don't like sour cream, then I can't possibly understand why people like sour cream. I don't like Mariah Carey. You're telling me I can't possibly understand why people like Mariah Carey. Hey man, if you want to have a relationship where you don't want to listen to Mariah Carey, that's fine. I totally support you. Do you see again why that sounds silly? I do not like Mariah Carey, because I do not like her style of music, and I do not think she is a good singer. But I can understand why other people do enjoy her music and think she is a good singer. Even further, if I did not like music at all, I could still understand why people do. Sexuality is the same thing. I don't seem to be sexually attracted to anyone, but I can understand aesthetics. I can understand the emotions that go on there, surrounding the whole sexual encounter, like happiness, sadness, emotional connection, and all that. And I can understand how those two things will work together, but it doesn't mean anything because your argument doesn't have anything to do with it. Or rather, it sounds even more condescending when you say, oh yeah, I support you, and it's only because I know that you don't understand what sex is like, and that's why you don't want to have it. Because it still sounds like you're treating it as a choice. And it sounds like the only reason you're supporting it is because you think it's a disability. Again, I'm trying to spell this out as plainly as I can, as to why we think you sound like an asshole. Again, I realize you do not intend to come off this way. I'm trying to give you constructive criticism so that you do not continue to come off this way. So please don't take what I'm saying as like a blatantly personal criticism of your morality or something. I'm just telling you why it sounds like you're an asshole from the perspective of someone who is not inside your brain. External locus, if you will.
Asexuals may be able to understand sex on a technical level. You know, like a biology textbook level. But asexuals fundamentally do not understand what it's like to be sexual, to have sexual desires.
So what you're telling me is, you don't understand what it's like not to have sexual desires, and therefore you can't tell us what we know or don't know. Secondly, there you go again, implying that it's some kind of disability. Some asexual people can be attracted to others, but find the idea of sex to be so repulsive that they do not wish to do it. Asexual people can be romantic. They can have those emotions which are largely tied to sexual behaviors, but not want the sex. Asexual people can masturbate and understand that feels good and it might feel good with another person, but still want nothing to do with it. Asexuality is not this blanket thing where half your brain is missing. It just means you don't find sex attractive, like between two or more people. And your inability to grasp this demonstrates it further, especially when you keep telling us you only support us because we just don't understand. But you're wrong, you see, and we've tried telling you this. I realize not everyone responding to you is as eloquent as I am. I am very good with my words, and that's why I'm making this video. Not to critique you personally, I don't think you're a bad person. I think you just honestly have a semantic disconnect here.
That is not offensive. That is a matter of fact.
So even though you cannot understand asexuality apart from a basic biological idea you might find in a textbook, you know exactly what all the facts is, so to speak. I mean, the fact that you know things that are factually incorrect doesn't change the fact that they're factually incorrect. It just means you have facts which are wrong. And it is kind of offensive when you go around spreading them, even after people try to explain this to you. The same thing you get on Christians or others for doing, spreading their ideology with wrong facts. If someone keeps coming up to you and saying, the earth is flat because I have facts, and you tell them no, your facts are wrong, and they just keep coming back and saying, but my facts, I know you would get annoyed at that. And so I know that you can understand why we are annoyed with you.
It would be like saying a straight person doesn't know what it's like to be gay. Would that be a problematic thing to say?
It's not problematic, it's just stupid. Straight people understand sexual attraction in the way you're describing, even within your own narrative, so you can understand why people might be attracted to things you are not. I like to use the inverse here, though, because it makes it a little more consistent. A straight person, let's say a straight man, is a person who is not attracted to men. A gay man is a man who is not attracted to women. A bisexual man is effectively attracted to both and is therefore not attracted to neither. And an asexual person is attracted to neither. Semantics is very important here, and this way of thinking about sexuality tends to be the more accurate representation of reality, and also leads me to my next point. You, if you are straight, understand what it is like not to be attracted to penises, for example. So you can also understand what it is like for a gay man not to be attracted to what you're attracted to, vaginas. So yes, you can in fact understand this. And you know, at least superficially, what specifically attracts you to what you are or are not attracted to. So yes, you can in fact understand why people are attracted to things you are not, even if you have no desires regarding them entirely. So again, it's not a problematic statement, it's just stupid, and does not reflect reality. In fact, Dr. Layman actually had a really cool video recently about if traps are gay, and you should check it out.
Are traps gay? That's probably one of the most infamous satirical questions on the internet.
I remember when I made that point in the video, it was because of the way that Peachy Fiend was describing sex in a very robotic, stiff kind of way.
Which is kind of how other survivors of sexual assault describe it, including some straight people. That's not the asexual part of it. She just simply has trauma in this regard, you understand? Like, if something gives you PTSD and talking about that thing will trigger it, you have to talk about it in a different way from other people who do not have that trauma. So yes, Peachy is going to describe the thing that caused her trauma in a much different way than the average person. And that has nothing to do with her being asexual. Or at least not in this particular instance. The fact that you know this, or appear to know this, and conflate the two, shows me that you do not actually support in the way you think you intend, as much as you think you do.
That clearly demonstrated she had no understanding of what sexual desire even felt like.
Again, not to drive the point home too clearly, but she literally has trauma from an undesired sexual contact in the past, an assault. So it's very possible that it's much like sexual people who have those kind of traumas, who also don't appear to have any sexual desire. Sometimes repression of that is the only way to deal with it, including in sexual people, who very much want to do those things, but realize it will also fuck them up.
Or at the very least was severely disconnected from that feeling.
Like a trauma victim.
You know, describing sex as a function, thinking that sex spots are a legitimate alternative to actual sexual partners, these are very retrograde ideas that I can't get behind in any way.
And again, you're pretending the asexual part has anything to do with the fact that she's acting like she actually has PTSD and is describing sexual encounters with humans in the way we would expect someone traumatized by that to explain them. And you seem to be purposefully overlooking this. Because as you said, Peachy is infamous. You know of her and her stories. And you're still acting like the asexuality is the only thing that comes into play here. That's very intellectually dishonest. There is a chance you don't understand this, and that's why I'm repeatedly driving this point home. Do you understand? Again, I don't believe you are a bad person. I don't believe it is your intent to act this way, but you are, and that's why we're trying to correct you. Let me give you a narrative. When I was in high school, I worked in a nursing home, the entire building of which dealt with people who had traumatic brain injuries. And let me tell ya, of the people who could talk about what happened to them, you know, the thing that screwed them up, do you know how they would discuss what happened to them? In a very disconnected, clinical way. Because that's what you do when talking about it with any emotion will literally screw up your week. I realize you do not have my experiences, but trust me when I say that Peachy Fiend is discussing sex like a person who has been severely hurt by it, rather than someone who is describing it just from an asexual perspective. We do not need to do a psych analysis on Peachy just to demonstrate this for you. And I'm telling you, your point falls flat for many reasons. But this is just one of them, and you should really drop it so as to not trigger other people in the community who also might have these problems, including sexual people. If you truly do care, you will understand this, just maybe not at first.
He also says the full human experience includes sex, which can imply that without it, you haven't had the whole human experience. That really shouldn't be the takeaway of what I was getting at.
Yeah, but I mean, it's literally what you said with the words you chose to describe your opinion.
As in, I'm not implying that in order to be like a fully valid human being in my mind, you need to have sex.
Your words were exactly, the full human experience includes sex. Now you're saying, the full human experience does not include sex, and is ancillary to it. You literally just contradicted yourself. You are a presenter on YouTube. You must decide your words with care, if you are to be taken seriously, anyway.
I was simply making the case that sexuality is more important to the human experience than Peachy Fiend was making it out to be.
So, in your reckoning, it is in fact a part of the human experience. What you're saying is, you can't understand how sex may not be important to some people, and therefore you can't understand how someone can experience being a human without having sex. I cannot understand what else it might be that you are trying to say, because those are the words you're using.
because she is a sex-negative person. I think he also said for a relationship to be deeper, you need sex. I don't recall saying anything like that. I think that if you have two people who are asexual, they will be capable of having a deep relationship without that. But at the same time, I think that if one partner was asexual and the other wasn't, that could cause a lot of irreparable tension in the relationship.
That's just a general trait of lying, though. There are plenty of gay people who engage in straight relationships without telling their partner just to have a child and then divorce them. Like, as long as you're open and honest with the person you're engaging with, you can work through those things. You can have an open relationship with regards to sex, for example. Again, I may not be the best person to give advice in this regard, as I've been single my entire life, but people tell me I give good advice as well, so that's why I'm giving it. Just be honest, and accept that some people aren't going to be attracted to you, even though you're attracted to them, and that's okay. But yes, it could. But then again, most straight relationships have that quite a bit as well. Or gay, or otherwise sexual relationships also have a lot of undue tension because of the sexual aspect. That's why the dirty old man in the restaurant talking to the waitress when his wife is right in front of him and causing relationship troubles because of it is such a trope, because it also happens. I mean, you could have a much deeper relationship if you were asexual in one regard, because then you're not attracted to anyone but the one specific person you're attracted to, you see.
I could go on. It really irked me what he said in that response in relation to asexuality is so ignorant and uninformed. Well, don't know what to tell you.
You could tell him he's absolutely right, because as you told us earlier, you're not asexual, so you can't understand how it works. You're blatant telling us exactly how we are is exactly the kind of thing he's kind of doing right there that you're getting upset about. But you can't understand why others are getting upset about you doing the same thing. It's like you have no self-awareness.
Sorry you feel that way. I hope that I was able to clarify myself a little better here.
Again, you certainly did clarify yourself by doubling down on pretty much every point. Again, I don't think that's what you intended. But perhaps next time you'll put a little more thought into the words you're writing down, that you're speaking into the camera, or whatever, before you decide to hit the enter or upload button.
But it does continue. They had another post. The anonymous user posted this first, and I thought it was interesting. I understand that. He is very good when it comes to anti-theism, but I recently watched a video of his, and some of the things he said about asexuality irked me. They came off as ignorant and kind of ace-phobic. Now, I don't believe that I'm ace-phobic or really any kind of bigot in that sense.
I think I'm going to agree on this point. You don't seem like you are purposefully being what you are here. You seem like you are just a very misguided individual stuck in your own echo chamber, and that's really about it. Again, I don't think you are phobic or bigoted. I think you just don't understand why others think you are.
I think that I made a video giving my thoughts, and you can be the judge of that. I've had asexuals watch that video and tell me that it was a very good video.
I haven't seen that video. I'm mostly just responding to the points he's presenting himself here. I may get around to watching it at some point, but I'm a busy man, and I barely even have time to make YouTube at this point, but I figured it was still a good idea to make a video this week.
Pick up on the times where I was defending asexuals.
We're not helpless little creatures in the woods who are disabled in the mind. We're not a separate class of people that you need to protect. You know, we have this thing called the Selective Service that only men are required to sign up for because we have to protect the women. You know, we had laws at one time concerning slave ownership and how the white masters were supposed to protect their black slaves and defend them because they are their charges. Your argument strikes me in a similar vein. Well, I'm sexual and I'm just defending the asexual people because I'm the more appropriate person to do so. Again, do you understand why that sounds so condescending? I'm glad you're an ally or whatever the LGBT XYZ is going for at this point. I don't mind that, we can live together in harmony, but you're defending it as though it's a brain-damaged way of living, and you've got to protect it because otherwise it's going to hurt itself or someone else is. Rather than defending it as, like, some twisted side to an argument or something, which really isn't any better.
Pick up on the times where I didn't want to lump all asexuals in with a nut job like Peachy Fiend.
I don't think Peachy Fiend is a nut job. I think she's a human, just like you and me, with opinions and preferences and all sorts of things that make us human. Same reason at the beginning I told you I don't think there's an atheist community. There's also not an asexual community. Her opinions are her own. Mine are my own. Yours are your own. This isn't about lumping us together because reasons, and you've already demonstrated you don't understand why she holds certain opinions she does, but just because you disagree with someone doesn't make them a nutjob. This kind of dehumanizing behavior is something you're usually better than, and it disappoints me to see it here. Don't get me wrong, I don't agree with Peachy on everything either, but she's not crazy.
And their input really meant a lot to me, because I knew making that video that what I had to say was going to be slightly controversial.
You know, I'm glad for the people who agree and disagree with me. That's how you get a dynamic conversation. You shouldn't need people defending your opinions just to validate them. I don't care if 0 people in the world agree with me when I put this video up. These are my opinions, and if someone has a dissenting one that is correct and can demonstrate that, then I will thank them for that as well. I won't go around saying, well, they're just crazy, well, they're just making excuses, well, they're just twisting my words, well, they don't understand things like I do. Because that's not useful in discourse, to just ignore an argument you don't like just because you don't like it.
Now, ultimately, I am not asexual, I have my bias, and I am a very pro-sex, sex-positive person.
And again, I am a sex-positive, asexual person. I don't care for sex at all, but I think any 2 consenting adults who want to have it, or 3 or 4 or 20 or whatever, should go for it. I have absolutely no cares what people do on their own private time, as long as you're not, hurting, maiming, killing, or whatever. If you're all having a giant orgy and there's 50 of you in the basement, and you all enjoy being tied up and whipped, go for it. But again, I don't have any kind of PTSD related to sex, like Peachy does. So Peachy is going to be sex negative in general because she has had a very bad experience with it that has made her unable to enjoy it, apparently. And this is something, again, you keep trying to tie to sexuality, but it isn't. It is a completely separate thing all on its own. And the fact that you think she is a nut job because of her trauma really doesn't shine you in a very pleasant light.
There's no getting around that, and what irks me above many things is this description of sex like it's just something people do to get off.
Yeah, I mean, sexual people never pump and dump. Prostitution is not a thing. Strip clubs don't exist for people who just want to get off. No, none of that exists anywhere. There's not entire industries and methods of relating to people that deal with strictly having sex and never talking again. Glory holes are not a thing, right? Again, I'm telling you, her sterile way of describing sex has very little to do with her sexuality.
And that's exactly what Peachy Fiend was doing. If you believe that sex bots are a viable alternative to an actual sexual experience, then that is the mark of being uninformed and ignorant.
Why do women like vibrators? Film at 11.
I'm all for acknowledging that people are born different. I'm all for people choosing their own path in life and how they want to go about doing things.
That's right, because when you're born that way, it's definitely a choice. I chose to be white. I chose to be born in a hospital in America. I chose to have dark-colored hair. I chose to have grayish-green eyes. I chose to be nearsighted. Oh wait, I was born that way. Why do you keep conflating the two, Nightmare Fuel?
That's fine. But keep in mind, this started with an attack on my lifestyle. Not yours.
that doesn't really change the fact that you decided to make this particular video in response to other claims apparently not relevant to it. Anyway, that's where his video abruptly ends, and so that's where this video ends. If you enjoyed this, click the thumbs up or click the thumbs down. If you didn't, leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think about all the sexes. If you want to support me, you can do so on Patreon. You can check out my blog down below. If you want to know how to get your name on my screen, you also have to check out my Patreon. And as always, this has been Reverend JR signing off.